Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. Better a little bit late than never.
We're back on time, Jeff. Back on time.
Back right on schedule. Let me get this thing shared where it needs to go. Ryan, what's up, man? We're back fresh off our top 75 finish at the Dardanelle event.
Hey, mods can't fish, you know? I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, for those that didn't scroll far enough down the leaderboard to see Ryan and I's name, we actually tied. And he took the tiebreaker with his big bass. You did win big bass, so the trip was.
Hey, that's all I came for, to be honest. I wanted to find a nice little dive bar and take home the big bass prize.
That's right. Mission accomplished.
My dad came over this afternoon. He's like, "You beat your boy, didn't you?" I said, "Who?" He said, "That guy from Arkansas." I said, "I don't know. I ain't even looked, to be honest with you. I was just ready to get out of there."
Yeah, that's hilarious. And you got a little local knowledge too from some of the local residents.
I was glad to see the place. I've heard a bunch about it, and got to go poke around. I hate to say it, but I'll probably have to go back. I mean, I do like the style of fishing. I wish I would have had a little more time to learn it myself, but I had a good time anyway. Caught a lot of fish finally the second day.
Yeah. I had the opposite experience. I caught a fair amount the first day. Couldn't find the size. But then day two, pulled the plug and went with a buddy of mine up to a different area and watched everybody else catch fish, which was frustrating in its own right. But it's
how did that go? What were they doing different? How was that?
I don't know. So, my old town teammate and buddy from Central Arkansas, Garrett Morgan, we fished the same area day one, or at least at the end of day one, we ran into each other. And he said, "Hey, tomorrow, let's go to this other area I know about. You can go with me. I know you don't know where it is, but we'll go up there and just have a fun day, fish, whatever." So he put me in the area. We even used the same bait, and that dude started wearing them out, and I couldn't get a bite. So I don't know what the difference was there, but neither one of us really found size. I caught one 19-incher, which was pretty good. Then I found a couple little dinks. But I want to talk to Nick about this, our guest tonight, when we have him go live here in just a little bit. But Brian Howell also fished the same area and came in behind us. And obviously, if anyone saw his run to second place, whacked him. And I think the deal was we were daubing around Senkos and Texas rigs, and he came through with a moving bait and took care of business. And Nick told me a similar story before we came on live. So really? I think that was the deal. We were fishing too slow.
All right.
So I don't know what you were doing in your area of the lake, but up where we were, they wanted it moving.
I tried everything, man. I tried chatterbaits and spinnerbaits, of course, but all I was catching them on was a Texas rig. I caught that big one on a buzzbait, but that was pretty much it. Yeah.
And I caught, now say day two, I caught, I think total 7 fish, but only 3 measured. And they were mostly on a Texas rig, and they were 9-inchers, shorties.
There you go. All right. Okay.
So, hey, whatever. It was still a good 2 days. Got to see some folks I hadn't seen in a while. So good times. I met a few folks that I'd never met before, which is always a cool thing. I actually ran into Zach Hall at the ramp too. Got to meet Zach, shared a little Western Sun with him. Met a cool guy with a Hobie, let me borrow a life jacket. If anybody saw that post, that was funny. Yeah, he let me borrow his life jacket. But, good times, man. I know we want to talk about a few things before we get Nick on here. a few things happened at the event. There are kind of things that happen at a lot of events, so we just wanted to touch on. What do you think?
Yeah, probably definitely need to touch on a few things. The first one was kind of over in my area. I apparently launched at the wrong launch because it took me like an hour and 45 minutes to get back to this place I wanted to fish. And by that time, there were already a couple different groups of anglers that had made their way in there. And I look up this canal and I see a couple people, like there's like a little backwater area. And I was like, well, okay, scratch that. So I'll go to the next one. I look down the next one. I see a couple people back there too. And I was like, whatever, I'll just, go off on a flat somewhere. And one of them was Christine, and I thought it was her, and I was like, hey, is that you over my left shoulder here? And she's like, yeah. She's like, these guys up in this backwater area, I guess, a couple more well-known anglers that travel all over the country were planning to go in there and fish, and they're like making their way up there, and this guy has his buddy like sideways blocking the canal, and he's like, hey, I'm trying to get back here and fish. And I think something to the effect of hell no you're not, or something like that, just shut it down right there, which is in fact in the written rules, like you can't block water, unfortunately. So hopefully people learn a lesson from that. But regardless, if you're blocking water or not, or if you feel like you're in a super small area, having a conversation about it's probably the right move, I think. First, if it doesn't go your way, then you can kind of resort to other things, but at least try to have a conversation out of the gate. Don't just be kind of rude for no reason.
Yeah, we got a fair amount of people on the stream right now. We got about 50 folks. So if you're on there, we appreciate you, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Share us over to your local page, because they're going to want to hear this story from Nick here in a little bit too, and maybe what Ryan and I have to say. I don't know, but anyone that's watching right now, if you know who that was that blocked the canal, I've been trying to find out. So I heard it was people from Arkansas, and if it is, we can't have that. We can't have people doing that. I want to know. Clifton's asking who it is in the comments. I don't know who it was. I wish I did know, because I don't mind name dropping them. But
yeah, I promise, Clifton, you would know if we knew, but no, I don't know. I think it was 2 orange Hobies is as much info as I've got. One of them had an Arkansas Razorback sticker on it, so there's not a lot of people that would even put that on anything. So that really narrows it down.
Easy now. Elite Eight. Yeah. So if you know, tell us. I want to know who this was, so that they can be dealt with in KBN Justice Department fashion, maybe, perhaps later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that kind of leads into the other thing, man, which is on the water conflicts. I mean, there's a way to handle that. I mean, I guess you can be handled in a bunch of different ways, but there's a way it can be handled where nobody ends up looking like the jerk if people just communicate. Don't you agree?
Yep. I think communication is key. This is a takeaway from marriage counseling. Communication is key.
Yeah. Clifton's asking. It's okay. He'll figure it out. If you do figure it out, Clifton, tell us. Drop it in there. And then somebody else made a hilarious post on KBN, but there's a lot of truth to it, and that is boat ramp etiquette. He said a lot of y'all can fish, but not many of you have boat ramp etiquette, and it is a problem.
That was your boy Jones, wasn't it?
Yeah, Chris. That was a local guy.
We launched in the same place on day one, and that area was packed. I mean, it was super crowded. There was kayaks laying everywhere, life jackets and paddles strewn about. It was everywhere.
Yeah, so when I first started kayak fishing, I didn't know any better. I pull my whole rig down there, unload the kayak, proceed to load it with every single rod and piece of tackle I had at the ramp, like some kind of noob jerk. But if you're still doing that and you've been fishing a while, that's not right. So somebody needs to tell you that's not right, and teach you how to get it ready before you pull down there.
Slick.
Yeah. Whether it's on wheels or on your trailer or in the back of your truck, there's a lot you can do to speed it up. So I don't know.
All right.
Probably some YouTube.
That's it. That's all I got for public service announcements. You good?
Well, yeah. You want to say anything about the lives you saved? Didn't you haul a couple people back to the ramp this week?
Oh, gosh. My tournament and pre-fishing was full of a lot of other things besides fishing. I went to pre-fish and I see a guy up on the bank, and I was actually on the phone with you, Jeff, when I saw him, and I was like, is there a launch back in here? Because I was like, I think this dude is launching or taking out just randomly on the bank, and he kind of flags me down. He's like, hey, bub, will you help me? Like, my kayak filled up with water and flipped, and I lost all my rods. I was like, oh, okay. So we get over there and drain his kayak out, and turns out it's Tim Isaac's son, Jason. So I know Tim. We fish a lot of the same areas and sit and tell lies at the boat ramps quite a bit. We got all the water out of his kayak. He was pretty sure it had a big hole in it somewhere because it took on a ton of water. We checked the bottom. There were no cracks. So we loaded his stuff back in, and I put my net on his pedal and put the Torpedo on high and got him back to where he launched before he filled up with water again. Turns out it was under the seat base that had cracked in the hole and filled up there. The next one was day 2. I had caught some fish, back in the same area, and Christine was like, hey, she's like, I don't know, it's going to take me forever to get back to the ramp. My rudder cable broke, and I was like, oh, God. I mean, the wind was blowing like 15, I would say, rough estimate, white capping out there, and I was like, there's no freaking way you're going to be able to get back to the ramp using a paddle for a rudder. So we got our 8 trails together and held them in, and we had like a 3.5-4 mile trek back to the ramp. My drive started acting up on me when we got out in the river current. The waves were washing over the side of my kayak. It filled a pretty good bit of the hull up with water. I didn't know if we were going to get out of that one. That was a pretty hairy situation.
See, you're out there.
We're home now.
Yeah, out there doing the Lord's work on the water, man, saving lives.
That's about all I got accomplished in that tournament. So,
No, good times, man. Well, let's. What do you say we get the winner in here, man?
Let's do it.
See what we can get out of him. See if we can get the juice. I didn't even ask him how to pronounce his last name. We're going to get Nick in here. Nick C. He's going to break it down how to pronounce his name for me so I don't butcher it. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with him.
Perfect.
KBN Live is brought to you by Western Sun Vodka. Western Sun Vodka is a 10 times distilled, award-winning, gluten-free vodka. They are independently owned and crafted in Pilot Point, Texas.
All right, we're back. Welcome to the show, Nick. How do you say your last name, man? I don't want to butcher it.
I was surprised. AJ, had it dialed in right from the start there in some of those updates. It's Chabarria.
Chabarria.
So he had it spot on. But, I grew up playing all kinds of sports and heard every name under the book. So
that's what I was going to say. So welcome, Nick Chabarria, to KBN Live, man. Hobie, BOS Dardanelle winner, man. Thank you for taking the time to join us, man.
Hey, appreciate it. Still kind of an unreal feeling right now. What happened this weekend?
Yeah, man, it was fun to watch. There were so many fish caught; it was unbelievable. I got the numbers here; it was nearly 1,200. But before we get into the tournament talk, tell us a little bit about who Nick is and where you're hailing from.
So I originally grew up in the Chicago area. Went to college at Mizzou in Columbia. So I was in Missouri there for 4 years for school, and then lived and worked in Missouri, Southeast Missouri after that in Cape Girardeau. For a couple years, and then made my way down to New Orleans for 3 years, and now I'm back in St. Louis or back in Missouri. So kind of been all over, been fishing all over, and it's I think it kind of helps having a little bit of experience in all those different regions.
Yes, sir. Everybody knows your name now. Nick Chabarria. And Katie, I'm gonna give Katie Abaka and Ryan a shout out. They brought us a load of Western Sun from Dallas before the tournament started. I was able to share it with some people around there, so thanks to Katie and Ryan.
Thank you to the backers. We appreciate it.
I'll make sure to find you next time then.
Yes, for sure. Everybody I ran into, I tried to throw them some little bottles like I was some sort of dealer out there. But.
You felt like Duke. You felt like Duke Tran, didn't you?
That's right. I did feel like Duke.
Slinging airplane bottles.
That's right. Well, let's get into the tournament talk, man. Tell us about how long you were down there and pre-fishing and how that went for you, what you had figured out.
Yeah, it's this was my second BOS event that I fished. I fished Kentucky in Lake Barkley last year and didn't have too good of a showing. That one, obviously was pretty close to St. Louis, so it was kind of a last minute decision. Didn't pre-fish at all for that one. It was just kind of going on a whim. And actually, one of my good buddies, Andy Green, who fished this weekend, he's from Louisiana, and I fished with him down there. He fishes BOSs quite a bit, and so kind of an excuse for us to hang out and fish together again. Now that we're not living so close, so that was kind of the deal with this weekend.
I heard about Lake Dardanelle, obviously, following, really any fishing circuit, and, knew it was kind of a shallow water fishery, knew it kind of fished to my strengths. I got down on late Thursday night and, had about half the day on Friday to pre-fish. I'd found some spots on the Navionics app prior to coming down, and of course looking at Google Earth and stuff. So tried to do quite a bit of map work, just not having a lot of time to check out some water. So like I said, my buddy was down there. He got down there earlier in the week. He basically just told me they were biting shallow. That was all I knew. And when he told me that, I got excited because like I said, that's how I like to fish. And anyway, so put in one spot that I thought looked good on Friday morning. And, was fishing for about 20 minutes and had a good one, probably 19 or 20, come up and follow my bait and swipe at my bait. So I felt pretty good about that. Wound up catching 17 later in that area. Fished there for a couple hours and left. Kind of had an idea that was going to be it. Went and put in two more spots. Didn't really like what I saw. And basically just for the fact that I didn't really have anything else, that was that first spot was the spot I was gonna fish on Saturday.
So how did it set up? Like, what was it that clued you in? You're like, I feel like this is going to be, did you think you had the winning fish there, or were you just like, all right, there's a few keepers in here?
Yeah. Like I said, I had that big bite that I shook off. And then I landed that 17. I just, wanted to get my hands on one of them at least. And then I shook off a couple other bites, but so it seemed like they were in the area. Just seeing those two big ones, gave me a little bit of confidence that they might be in there. And, going into the tournament, I really had no idea what it was going to take. Me and my buddy, we said maybe low 90s, each day. Just not, knowing that the big bites were in there, but not really knowing what was going to be happening on Saturday and Sunday. So, what kind of drew me to the area was looking on Navionics. If you kind of broke down that area that I was fishing, it almost fished like a shallow reservoir, which I'm more comfortable with and familiar with. There were, creek arms and little points and kind of steeper areas. So, I kind of, fishing up here in Missouri, I kind of felt like I had the fish dialed in here. They, I knew they were kind of, still moving up, not quite really committed to the super shallow, spawning areas yet, but getting there and getting close and starting to stage. So, just looking on Navionics, that's kind of what drew me to the area and seeing those bites. And like I said, I fished two other spots and they didn't really produce like I was hoping. So, that was it. That was the game plan.
It paid off.
Yeah, before we came on, Ryan, you were scrambling back from the smallmouth bonanza that you were on. I was visiting with Nick a little bit. So, he's kind of beating all the stereotypes of you need a week at a lake to figure it out. He was there for basically half a day. And also, this is another guy that was paddling that won an event. So tell us about, how that helped you overcome this loaded field to win the event.
Yeah, obviously 124 anglers, that's a lot of guys. And, I kind of had to guess that everybody was mostly probably going to be shallow, kind of just knowing what the fish were doing, heading in. And this is my first season and first is an event of a lot of firsts for me. First event with New Canoe Flint, just picked it up about 3 weeks ago. Had it on the water, I think 2 times before this. And, so I think having that lighter boat, really helped this weekend for a couple of reasons. One, where I was fishing, I was actually able to launch underneath the bridge roadside as opposed to going to the ramp. And obviously avoiding the crowds at the ramp, but also the bridge where I was able to launch at, it was about a half mile farther up from the ramp and closer to the spots that I like. So in the mornings I was able to get out there early and kind of, stake my claim, if you will, and get to those areas, before some of the other guys and girls. And, so that helped. And then also I couldn't get shallow enough for the fish this weekend. I was probably in 2 feet of water, less than 2 feet of water, throwing into 6 inches of water. And there were a lot of stumps around. And I know a couple of people ran into issues with their drives, hitting stumps and things like that. So, having the paddle and having the light boat really came into play. I will say I mapped it out today on Google and I probably covered about 15 miles between the 2 days. just looking for these fish, and they weren't really stacked up or grouped up, but, they were on similar patterns throughout that area. But definitely had to cover some water. So I'm feeling it today.
That wind got up pretty good. Were you up in some skinny areas that kind of hid you from that, or what?
Yeah, Saturday I was pretty well protected from the wind. Sunday I was right in it, and I'm getting into it. If I was wound up calling a fish late at 2:50 in the day that put me over the edge, and at that point on Sunday, so I went back to the same area both days, fished pretty much the same spots. The fish kind of reloaded. I mean, I knew they were moving around. It wasn't just resident fish. So, was able to do that. But, by 11 o'clock or so, the bite kind of shut off for me. So I made the decision to leave the area where I'd caught them all weekend. It was about a mile from where I launched. I paddled back with the wind back to the launch area, tried to fish around there, looked at some of the cuts and coves, but didn't really like what I was seeing. It didn't look like anything else that I'd caught them on that weekend. So at about 1:45, I had to make a decision. Either I was going to keep poking around that new water where I wasn't really feeling confident, or make that 1.25 mile paddle back into the wind, back up to the spot where I was catching them. And I knew with the quality of fish that I was around all weekend that was my best chance. So I kind of had a little moment with myself and said, I can handle being outfished. I knew I was down by a 1/4 inch at that point. But I wasn't going to be outworked that weekend, and I wasn't just going to throw it in and be lazy and not paddle back to where I had an idea of where the fish were. So made that paddle, paid off, and got a 1/2 inch call at 2:50.
Had you and Brian talked about that at awards? Because he looked pretty surprised when they called his name for second.
Yeah, we didn't. I didn't get the chance to talk to many people at the awards, but like I said, I typically don't do it. I'm not a scoreboard watcher. I like to just put my head down and fish. But just kind of being where I was on Saturday, and I got off to a real hot start on Sunday. I had a limit by 7:30, and was feeling pretty good about that. So I was watching on Sunday, and to see Brian come virtually out of nowhere, it was impressive to see. And I kind of had an idea that my limit from Saturday wasn't going to quite hold up on Sunday. I kind of figured that going in, and to see him catching them like that was impressive. But I knew when the leaderboard shut off, I was that 1/4 inch down, and I knew it seemed like it slowed down for a lot of people, and I was just hoping somebody wasn't sandbagging, because when I brought that fish in the boat, it's a 17, and it was a Mike Iaconelli moment for sure. Cue the never give up, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I literally got to witness Brian's momentum as he rode. He came into the area that, like I said earlier, Garrett and I were fishing. And I think he's in the comments laughing, but I think he either had only 3 or 4 when he came in there. I think it was his area that we were in, and he was just coming back to it. So we ended up bailing out of there. But when he came in there, he hit a flurry like you wouldn't believe. I just kind of watched him go boom, 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 boom. And then we left, and I saw the leaderboard. He caught even more. So he was riding the momentum, and I thought, my God, is anybody going to be able to beat him? So I was pretty shocked at the end to see you catch him too. But it's an awesome story that you kept grinding and pulled that out late. That's awesome.
The man's a machine, though. I mean, he tore it up. In my head, I was like, "Oh, Brian won it," and I was sitting there next to him, kind of ribbing him back and forth, and and then they called his name second. I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. Somebody got a surprise.
And you know what? That is why it's good on day 2 to turn that leaderboard off the last couple of hours.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you got to build the suspense, and I don't think there's ever a lead big enough to where you feel secure, like you've got it in the bag.
Yeah. What we had G on here last week or the week before talking about Trinity River. He was down 10 inches and called 10 inches in an hour and a half. He said.
And had a massive limit, but still Jody Queen was like right there behind him. I mean, I don't think you're ever safe in this stuff. You never know what somebody's going to get on in the last 30 minutes of a tournament.
I got a comment for you, Nick. Let me throw this up here, see if you can see it. He said this guy was glad you were there because he couldn't have got his PA back up the bank without you.
Yeah, I was going to give Ryan a shout out. So like I said, we launched roadside and underneath the bridge, and Kind of had that rubble rock and, kind of a steep area, some grass though, kind of leading up to the parking. Actually I saw him there on Friday, I guess. He had pedaled up from the ramp farther down. And then he was there on Saturday, and he gave me a hand getting my kayak down that area. And then we were able to help each other on the way out. So, I appreciate that. And sorry if I was sandbagging a little bit on what I caught there on Saturday.
Hey, that's what you got to do, man. That's part of it. So it sounded like it was a pretty busy area. Did you have any problems being too crowded?
No, I was worried about that on Saturday. Again, just I was still kind of piecing things together Saturday morning. Again, it was literally kind of the mindset of I have an idea the fish are there. I have the idea right fish are there. I'm going to just go out and fish what looks good. And I wound up catching my first fish at 7:00 on Saturday was the 20-incher, and my big fish for the tournament. And that certainly set the stage and kind of got me amped up, for the rest of the day. But no, on Saturday, I think I saw maybe 5 or 6 kayaks in the area. Again, and then by, I think it was about 10:00, I kind of had an idea what they were doing, what the fish were doing. And I never really saw anybody kind of reproducing that. So, I was fine with them kind of fishing around, some of the areas where I caught them, and that kind of, it got really solidified on Saturday late in the day. I caught my 17 to call out, I think like a 14 or 15, to finish out, to round out my limit on Saturday. And, at that point I decided I knew I didn't really have anywhere else for Sunday. So at that point I was kind of just looking for new water for Sunday and maybe trying to eliminate some water, ahead of the next day. So I was, kind of throwing my chatterbait, throwing the pattern. And, I was throwing in an area that I know had got hammered earlier that day. I saw kayaks back in this cut, and I got 2 bites like right back to back at 2:30. So at that point, I was feeling pretty good, confident that I maybe figured out something that the others who were fishing around there weren't doing.
My heart's broken. I can't believe you won it on a chatterbait. I think I caught
set up right here.
I caught 1 fish, I think, on a chatterbait the whole time. It was awful.
Let's see it, Nick.
This was Saturday's deal. This is what the 20 came on. It's a chatterbait custom, black and blue with a black and blue Z-Craw Junior. And then, the water kind of dirtied up a little bit on Sunday. And just to give them a different profile, I went with green pumpkin and 1/2 ounce with the full size Z-Craw, black and blue. And, I had a bunch of not a bunch of bites, but quite a few bites of, them biting right at the boat and coming up and getting it. And, having to do those short hook steps, which is always terrifying. But,
you were throwing a half ounce jackhammer in 6 inches of water.
We'll say that again.
You were throwing a 1/2 ounce jackhammer in 6 inches of water.
No, chatterbait custom.
Chatterbait, sorry.
Chatterbait custom.
But a half ounce in 6 inches. That's the math part I'm trying to work out.
I was, and like I said, I think it was just that bigger profile they were looking for. I mean, like I said, they were coming up and attacking the 3/8 on Saturday. I mean, I kind of figured they were keying in on it. I mean, it wasn't scaring them, it wasn't spooking them. And, some of the fish, they were all kind of positioned a little bit differently in the same general, areas. But, I'd almost pitch it in there and give it one hop, just like a jig, and that blade would start kicking and they'd pick it up, and I'd see the boiler, see the wake. But that's why on even two with the 1/2 ounce, I went up to that full size Z-Craw, and it, keeps the bait riding up a little bit higher and gives a little more buoyancy, but still gets that big profile that, I think they were looking for.
It's crazy.
I heard that story from more than just you, Nick. I saw Brian do it to me and Garrett. People were coming in behind people throwing some moving baits, whether it be a chatterbait or swim jig or whatever, that were fishing real slow and getting plenty of bites and catching their fish right behind other people. Is that what you experienced too? It sounds like.
Yeah, I never was right behind other people, but like I said, certainly I know people were in the area. I saw people throwing shallow, not exactly sure what they were throwing. But, I still caught fish in those same areas, on the moving baits. And I tried slowing down. I tried even, wake baits, on some fish that I missed. But, it was just chatterbait was a deal. And, kind of the same deal with Saturday going into Sunday. I was just going to fish what was working until it stopped working. and then figure it out. But the bite held up for 2 days, and I know I'm fortunate for that. But yeah, it was exciting.
That's awesome. We've seen some of these comments. I'm gonna throw some of them up for you real quick, Nick. Looks like some of your buddies are chiming in. You've gone big. He's wondering if you're ever gonna see.
You know what? It's fun. I had a bunch of my buddies, from home, and a bunch of my fishing buddies watching, and they were all fired up for me, and even some of my buddies that don't fish. It's kind of tough to, kind of put into words what it kind of means, and just the scope of everything. And everybody was fired up, and that was exciting. It meant a lot that anybody who watched, I appreciate it, and it's just exciting that I have someone rooting for you.
There's another one for you. Is this true?
That's one of my. So Sean is he's one of my original floating buddies, kayak floating buddies. We floated the Castor River in southeast Missouri together, and he does a podcast as well, Kayak Fly, or any fly fishing guys or anyone interested in that. He puts on a real great program, and I've been on there a couple times, and they cover it all. So, but yeah,
he said he taught you everything you know.
he could take credit for that, sure. if that's drinking beers and falling out of kayaks, yeah.
That's awesome. That's what this sport's all about. Actually,
right.
It's his alter ego, Donnie Bennett. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Donnie's flipped a Flint or two. I've seen it happen. Yeah. That was down on the Okmulgee. That was like the first Flint River run down there. He flipped it and lost all his rides. Good old Donnie. Now he's retired from kayak fishing. R.I.P. Donnie.
Let's see what else we got. Oh, Clifton's got a question for you. Here you go, Nick.
Clifton.
Clifton's
on one tonight.
Yeah. Are you a local that just started venturing out? He's asking for himself, he says. Or you fish national stuff?
I'm assuming local means local clubs. Is that what he's asking? Yeah. So, I started tournament bass fishing in 2018, 3 years ago with Bam Bassin down in Louisiana when I was in New Orleans. And they were just getting off the ground as well. I think there were a couple other bass clubs in Louisiana, but nothing really like in the central to southern area of the state. I think most of them were up north. And, so Austin and a couple other guys up there, Austin Thomas, they got the club off the ground. And, it was just a great experience, especially, kind of being new to it myself. It kind of helped that, everybody was kind of new to it, getting into it for the first time. And a lot of these guys, of course, had fished all their life growing up in Louisiana and fished bass boats tournaments and things like that. But, so I fished that while I was down there, had a great time. I was saying I moved back to Missouri beginning of 2020. So I fished with KMO, Kayak Anglers of Missouri, a little bit last year. I fished my first Hobie BOS at Kentucky Lake Barkley. And again, it was kind of a deal. I was meeting one of my buddies from Louisiana. He was fishing it. He fishes a lot more of the national stuff. So it's just kind of a chance to hang out, and didn't do too well on that one. Didn't get to pre-fish or anything, but just kind of signed up for the event. Was going to hang out with Andy, my buddy from Louisiana, and just see what I can do. I was kind of joking with him at dinner on Thursday. I just had the goal of catching 10. That was it, and wound up getting around the good stuff and got fortunate.
Ryan caught it. Ryan is the defending TOC champ. He wasn't planning on chasing a lot of tournaments this year, but he won that first one. So now he was going to chase that AOY. You won one. Are you going to try to get some more on the schedule and chase that Angler of the Year title, or what?
Yeah, I had that conversation with Sean actually today, and we'll see. I kind of eyeing La Crosse up in Wisconsin, and then Pickwick. It'd be logistically would be kind of the ones that make sense for me, but. Yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely. I can probably say I'm definitely going to be in Alabama. I mean, that's such an honor, to be able to fish that, and the way that Hobie sets it up with limiting it to the 50 guys and doing it that way with the tough qualifying. That makes it even more special. And fortunate just to be able to get there and we'll see what happens.
It's an awesome tournament. It's an awesome experience, and I think this year. The new 3-day format, I think that's really going to put a lot more strategy into managing your fish and possibly, having a B and C spot that you're absolutely going to have to use.
Yeah, especially in the fall, don't you think, Ryan? How those fish move in the fall?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that place sets up, fall transition type deal. I'm interested to see what the boundaries are going to be as well.
We got some more comments coming in. If you guys have any questions for Nick or any question at all, just throw them in the comments. We'll try to get them on the screen. Craig Woods got a question. Well, not a question, but a statement. He said he was with Nick before AJ called second place, and he felt like you were really sweating it. Shout out to Craig. He's one of our local anglers up here. He and Dwayne Beatty finished 5th and 6th, respectively. So good job, Craig and Dwayne. Way to represent. So were you sweating, Nick?
He was one of the few guys that I had a chance to talk with at weigh-in, and real nice guy. He asked me my name. I obviously never met him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been chasing you all day." And I told him, I think I mentioned I had that late call, and it was when they called out second place, I couldn't believe it. Even just to be in that position, obviously I would have been very happy with second again. Just the way I knew I was so close. If it just came down to that one fish, I would have been kicking myself a little bit, just missing out on that opportunity. But yeah, it worked out. And it was a big sigh of relief when I found out.
Yeah, it's a different kind of event to win one of these. I mean, it's one thing to win a grinder, but when there's 50 people catching them, it has to make you a little more apprehensive about being safe with your lead, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I that was the thing on Sunday. Like I said, I just, I fished the same stuff really because I didn't have anything else, to fish. And, was hoping the bite would hold up, and it did. And I knew, like I said, I wasn't really confident I was going to, beat my Sunday or Saturday bag, but, just knew that I had to keep grinding, and, knew that no lead was safe. And it was close all day. Nobody of course ran away with it. So, it was just one of those days where put your head down and fish and see what you can do.
How many limits were there, Jet? Like full limits? It had to be 50 or 60, right? It was just ridiculous when you looked at the.
Insane.
Well, you usually see it fall off. Like it starts falling off, like top 30 or so, 35. And I was scrolling down the leaderboard, and it was.
I thought it up here. I'm in the 50s right now, and these are limits. Looks like maybe 61. Matt Ball, 61, had
that is crazy.
Limit one day and not the next. So, 62-day limits.
Yeah. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Pretty solid.
Even guys, look at Jody Queen goes 82-82 and ends up 21st. In any tournament, that's a top 10 usually, at least. Maybe a top 5.
And I think those were different fish on both days, too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Cole Sykes, 78-85 for 24th. All awesome 2-day limits, but not enough in this slugfest. So thanks for showing out, Dardanelle. You did all right. Even though you didn't show me any love, you did all right.
Josh Counts is just trying to prove you wrong. He finished 55th and didn't have a limit day 2. There.
Take that, Jeff. For this to be
Take that. So now we're going to 59. Thank you, Josh. We've corrected our numbers.
Jeez. Easy, Josh. I'm not the tournament director. I'm just eyeballing.
We're amateurs out here. Come on.
Most overused term in fishing. What is that, Clifton? What's the most overused term?
A grind, I think maybe is what he's talking about.
I said this wasn't.
If you got a better way to call, if you got something else to call it, I'm all ears. But
a slobber knocker.
Yeah.
Call it.
Nick, are you familiar with Clifton?
No, I don't think we've had the pleasure.
You're not missing anything, buddy. Don't worry.
Clifton Allen is he calls himself. I don't know if we call him that. The people's champ. He speaks up for the people, for the issues at hand, and he's everybody's favorite KBN member, or one of them anyway. So
he's top 5 anyway. I'd say.
5, yeah. Clifton Allen was top 5. I don't know about Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff's a new guy. Apparently, he acts very similar to the old Clifton that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Clifton wants to know, do you carry a spinning rod with you every time you fish?
Yeah, I feel like is this like a judgment question? I feel like this is gonna, some kind of rickshaw test or something.
No.
No, I do. When I go, obviously, like I said, I paddle. So, I do try to limit what I take, but I do carry a spinning rod with me pretty much all the time.
Yeah, got to be versatile, man.
I always have a spinning rod with me. If you never know when you're going to need to bust that puppy out, throw an Ed rig, a fluke, something crazy.
That's right. And I tried all those things. They didn't work for me, Ryan. So spinning rods let me down.
What I need to know, Nick, have you made a professional angler Facebook page yet?
Yeah, I haven't, and I've been getting a lot of friend requests and things like that. And, I appreciate the support and the interest. I kind of thought to myself today, actually, that this may be the
the turning point.
the foot in the
You're a
door that I
PKA
need
now.
Yeah. I can't say I'm going to put out anything interesting, but
just don't tell them you've been on this show. That's what you do.
Yeah, don't do that. You need to start a YouTube channel and probably get some tournament series logo tattooed on you if you haven't done that already.
Yeah, I was thinking that, and then I need a lot of stickers for my boat too.
You gotta get your sticker game up for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. I noticed. I'm not going to judge you, but I noticed as we were driving next to each other on 40, getting the hell out of Arkansas, you didn't have near enough stickers. So sorry.
Yeah, no stickers, and got it on top of my car top it. So I don't know if that's allowed either, but
you'll get there. Don't somebody send this guy a trailer? Come on, let's go.
There you go. That's going to be the first shoe to drop. We're going to get you a Malone or a Yakima or something. Somebody send this guy something. I like Nick, man. He's got a lot of personality. I think they're going to line up for you, man. If you want him. That's the key, is if you want him.
Yeah, like I said, it's it's still kind of sinking in, what this weekend was, and it's just kind of one of those things. Like I said, I just had the goal to go out there and fish and enjoy it. It's a new fishery for me. Check it out, and man, it just worked out, and that's kind of what I'd say to anybody thinking about fishing these. It's obviously a little bit steeper in price than some of the club tournaments, but you just never know. Someone's got to win it, and you never know.
High risk, high reward. And I mean, the payouts, though, if you get a check, the payouts are pretty solid. I mean, I got $400 for catching one fish, literally one fish. So that covered my bar tabs and my entry fee. Check.
Let's go.
We're good to go.
Yeah. It's, a little bit more risk, but big reward for sure. And, it's definitely, even fishing Kentucky last year and I mean, not doing well at all. Just the exposure to the national scene and the competition. And I mean, obviously these guys, fishing these and, it's such a step up from probably most local clubs, no knock to them, but obviously these guys are putting a lot of time, a lot more work, a lot more dedication, into hitting these events. Cause, there's, so much at stake. So just getting to be able to fish with that and just see the level of competition, really kind of made me step up my game and realize what else was out there.
What's going to be the next bigger event that you fish?
Yeah, bigger event. I don't know. Like I said, maybe lacrosse or Pickwick. Got a couple club tournaments coming up. Lake Wapapello down in southeast Missouri is a good one with kayak anglers in Missouri. I think I placed in that one last year, and always a good time. But yeah, I really didn't set like a fishing calendar this year. Obviously, things were still kind of up in the air early on this year, just with COVID and everything and travel and all that. But yeah, I'm definitely, this kind of, re-energizes me a bit and definitely going to make, more of an effort to get out there.
Hey, but before I ask my next question, are you married, Nick?
I'm not. I got my lovely girlfriend sitting here next to me.
Well, my question was going to be,
cancel that next question, Jeff.
Okay. Well, I was going to be, what are you going to do with that check, and or what's your wife going to do with that check?
Well, I gave her a shout out, for letting me go fish for 3 days and hang out with my buddy. But
so she's not getting any of the money. I gave you a shout out, babe. We're good. Pretty much even.
Shout out.
No, yeah. I don't know yet. It's like I said, I just bought that Flint this year, so that certainly helps with that.
So you're going to buy a Hobie now.
Yeah, maybe looking kind of to upgrade some of that and maybe upgrade some tackle and stuff like that. But it'll certainly go. Part of it will go to getting down to Eufaula and that. So it's a nice little cushion to have for sure.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I always ask before, because if you have an off-duty financial supervisor, that can change how that gets distributed.
Brian said he just has to take his check straight back to Taylor. That she's just like, she makes him go fish tournaments. He said he doesn't even like fishing.
I know,
she's like, all right, Brian, go make that money.
That's when you're too far in.
He revealed that on the water. He's like, man, I freaking hate catching these 20-inch fish, but she makes me do it.
So he seemed very upset.
Yeah. No. Yeah, man. Any more questions? Throw them in the comments for us. We want to get them up for you. Clifton asked, was it as good as the Fork Bar? I think he's having a little conversation with Mark Penny.
Yeah, he and Ugly Twin are sorting that out. I don't see that bar not being as good as any bar. It was as good as the sliding ride used to be on Kentucky Lake. They had cornhole inside, really nice level pool tables, same old man, like kind of VFW local crowd. It was a good find out in the middle of absolutely nowhere.
Hey, look here. Taylor just confirmed what we've been saying.
Oh, she said check.
Can't come home. Oh, hey.
Hey, oh, Big Stick Hal in the house.
Okay. Poor Brian. Defensive.
I know. I'm glad Brian's in the fold. I like it. I like having them around.
He's good people, man. Good people.
He was saying that he may try to get Taylor to come join us, and I think he said Sam Rayburn maybe. So
I know
it's going to be a good time.
I'm willing to beat the better half of the Howe family. So yeah, that'd be fun. I hope she can make it.
Let's go.
She can make it. Sam Rayburn. That's not on your list, is it, Nick?
No, that one's probably a little bit too far for me. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it should shaping up to be a good event.
All right.
I know they've been catching them pretty good in Texas, this year.
Yeah. We got Josh Booth in the comments trying to tell you there's a tournament on Table Rock this Saturday. Come on down. He's probably tired of driving. He probably needs a little rest.
Just a little bit. I got in about 1:30 this morning from the event and had a nice full work day after that. So yeah, I'm a little beat. Just got the car unloaded before this.
Same, buddy.
Yeah, Ryan went and caught smallmouth. He can't say he's tired.
I got home at 2, woke up at 6, drove to East Tennessee for a meeting, 3 hours, drove 3 hours home, got the boat loaded up, went straight to the lake, and busted the smallmouth wide open this afternoon. They were feeding up on the bank like a redfish, just pushing the bait, right up on the bank. It was crazy to see. So we should have another couple weeks left of that, I hope, this spring.
So it looks like even though you've never met Clifton, he's offering up a room if you ever need it to come down to Texas for an event.
Cliff is now Clifton. He switched accounts.
Switched back. He switched.
Hey,
he switched
I appreciate that as long as I can bring my spinner rod with me.
Clifton's nothing but spinning rods. You'd fit right in.
Yeah, Clifton loves them.
There you go.
You're good on that. He'll loan you a spinning
I think
rod.
he throws a frog on the spinning rod. I'm not sure. Trevor Johnson unloading the car while listening. I bet a bunch of people are just now getting their stuff unloaded. 2-day tournaments with pre-fishing and everything. It's a grind, whether you win or lose or whatever. You're beat on a Monday. So people that do that, much respect to get out there and travel and do this with us.
Shout out to Shane Williams for fishing one day of the 2-day tournament, catching a limit and choosing to go home. He didn't even fish day 2 with a limit. It broke my heart. He was staying in our house. I wish he would have given me that limit if we could have worked something out and just let me fish day 2.
Do a little share.
Something. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people bailed on day 2, man. I don't know.
I do it too. Well, I did it on Seminole. I caught a few fish on Seminole, and the weather was awful, and I had zero desire to get out there and get my face blown off by the wind. So I was like, I'm just gonna head home.
Zach Hall said he's still driving. Be safe while you're driving and piping that while you watch us. So, but I got to meet Zach at the boat ramp, man. He's a good dude. He seemed like a good guy when you see him online, but I actually got to meet him and a few other folks. So good stuff. Good part about these tournaments.
Yeah, that was definitely a good tournament. I went by, and of course I was like driving to the ramp like 2 minutes before launch, and I blew the horn at Dwayne when I went by, and he messaged me, and he's like, "Oh, Lambert, heading to the ramp 5 minutes before first cast." Yeah, it's actually pretty early, so
yeah,
take
man.
that.
I don't know what Clifton means. Jeff, you got any mounts you can put up, or nah? Nah, I ain't got no mounts to put up, man. I got an empty bottle of Western Sun and a coffee mug. That's all you're gonna get out of me in my background. Sorry, bro. I could throw a few old trophies back there if I was trying to flex, but it's been a few years.
Do it.
Yeah.
Are they chiseled from stone? How old are they?
Yeah, I got one of your drink coasters over here on the shelf. One of those metal ones that you got there in front of you.
Oh yeah, you want one of these?
Yeah, I got one of those on the shelf. I could use it for a drink coaster, I guess.
Hell, it took a year to get that one, so I'm gonna let it get some airtime.
Yeah, I got you. Old basic ass wall. Shut up, Clifton. I got the blue light back.
Clifton is on one tonight. I think Katie must have dropped a couple bottles of Western Sun off at his house. Something's going on. He's acting like a prickly pear tonight.
Switch back to Cliff. He's nicer. Go back to your Cliff profile, man. He's nicer. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit more about what you got going the rest of the year, Nick, before we wrap this thing up here in a few minutes.
Well, prior to this weekend, just kind of had some club tournaments on the radar. Like I said, Fishing Camo, around here they'll be at Wapello, and then Bull Shoals did pretty well out there last year, and then hoping just to qualify for the championship for that. But other than that, we'll see. Like I said, definitely Alabama's obviously on the radar now on the calendar, and I've been real impressed, obviously, with the two BOS events that I've been to, and I know there's a couple good series going on right now nationally. It's it's growing, with sports growing, which is a good thing to see, and definitely gonna be fishing some more of those, and I gotta defend the title here, so
yeah, good stuff,
or at least try to.
We got one more question before we try to wrap it up and get everybody out of here, because everybody's beat. Your buddy Sean asked Nick about the Castor River. Is there something there?
That's kind of where we started floating, and like I said, my buddy Sean, we'd go out, a group of us, and never had a bad time in the Castor. Somebody always wound up in the water, or there's something going on, snakes coming out or what, but always a good time.
Awesome stuff. I'm not putting Pendergrass comment up there.
That wasn't my job, Mark. I think that was on Frank. That's why they left together.
Yes, correct. Yeah. What do you got, Ryan? Anything else before we get out of here, man?
No. I probably need to go to sleep for about 16 hours or so, but I think I'm going to get up early and try to go catch some more fish before I have to go to Nashville for work tomorrow.
Awesome. Well,
we'll see.
Yeah, man. It was a good weekend. It was actually good to see you, Ryan. I hadn't seen you in a while.
Yeah, no, man.
All been online.
Got to have a nice little dinner there.
Yeah, got to have Shane. The Pendergraph arranged and didn't come to. Appreciate you, Mark.
Yeah, that was slick, Mark. Presto changeo.
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see a bunch of friends that I hadn't seen in a while. But it was the best part was seeing Nick take the victory. Get to see this new name, fresh face. So I'm sure we're going to see more of. Take that win. So Nick, thanks so much for taking the time, man. I know you're beat, but we appreciate you sharing your story with us tonight.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And again, congrats to everyone this weekend. It was, a great tournament, and just, again, feel real fortunate that, the way things turned out. So been on the other end of those and know how it goes. But, yeah.
You did it. You're pro now.
That's it. I'm in all the way.
PKA all the way. You're in now. But yeah, we'll put something together for next Monday, and we'll come back at you. Everybody get some rest. Thank you for listening. If you're on the audio podcast later, checking this out, we appreciate you listening. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, thanks for hanging in there with us tonight and joining the conversation, man. It was a good time.
Y'all take care. Clifton, behave, please. Go to bed now.
Yeah, Cliff, get Clifton and get out of here. Yeah. Good night, y'all. We're gone.
See ya.